Will Erling Haaland definitely be available to start in game week 1? And is Bruno Fernandes worth 12 million after he's had a massive overperformance in terms of assists, a big price hike, and there are lots of midfielders at 8.5, 8 million, at 7.5 who feel like much better value. In today's video, we're going to discuss going without either Erling Haaland, Bruno Fernandes, what those drafts would look like, the pros and cons of it for the start of the season. What is up everyone, FPL Harry here. Before we dive in, drop a like on the video and subscribe if you are new around here as well. And every single draft that I've built so far during preseason has had two players in it. Well, actually there are a couple of others, but they've all had Erling Haaland and Bruno Fernandes. I think they all have had João Pedro, Calvert-Lewin in them as well. But I think those are the only players who have been in every single one of my drafts. And as we get closer to game week 1, there are conversations and decisions to be had around two of the most popular players and the two most expensive players in all of FPL at the moment, in Erling Haaland at 15.5 million, who starts with Bournemouth at home, and Bruno Fernandes in at 12 million, who starts with Hull away, followed by Ipswich at home. Both are great picks, but there are questions around both of them. The first thing I'm going to say is I still don't plan on going without either of these, but I do think it's an interesting topic to discuss. And I don't think there's a world where you should be going without both of them. I don't see there being enough ways to spread your money around your team if you're going without Erling Haaland and Bruno Fernandes. I also think over the first 6 weeks, they are either the first or second best captaincy options in pretty much every single week, apart from in game week 4, potentially, where they play each other. So from a lack of value elsewhere and a lack of captaincy alternatives, the idea of having no Haaland and no Bruno is not a good one. But I can understand the logic and the reasoning if you're looking to drop one of each of them from your draft. So to start off around Erling Haaland and the reasoning and the discussion points on him. His is all around price, but mainly around availability. He hasn't really featured at all in preseason. He's up at 15.5 million. He's under a new manager. We don't know how ready he's going to be for the start of the season. There are so many stats and so many discussion points around how well Erling Haaland starts every single season. He scores so many goals in the opening few weeks, and if you don't go without him, you'll be left behind. And that is all absolutely true. But how much of that is down to him being involved in preseason? And that, unfortunately, is a question we don't know the answer to, because every single year before Manchester City start the season, Erling Haaland has had a full preseason. So we don't know the impact of him only having a week and a half to prepare for the upcoming season. Marmoush, who's been playing in his place, has also been scoring goals during preseason, so maybe they don't need to rush Erling Haaland back for Bournemouth at home on the opening day. I'm not saying I 100% agree with all of these points, but I'm just playing devil's advocate to understand why some people might consider going without Haaland as we get closer to game week 1. The next one is Bruno Fernandes. Now, I think the issue with Bruno is very different. I think over the course of the season, we think Haaland will be a good pick. Bruno is available. He's had a good preseason. He is ready to go. It's more around if he's actually worth the money. A couple of years ago, Bruno Fernandes had a 200-point FPL season just like he did last year, and he got a massive price increase just like he has this year. And that price was not worth it, and his price came crashing down for several seasons after that until last year, where he was finally worth the money once again. And the question is here, is that going to happen again? Can you spend the money on a Semenyo? Can you spend the money on a Vert, and a Burmo, a Cunha, a Szoboszlai, and really bulk out the rest of your squad with Gabriel or Ben White or David Raya or Vardio, and not go with Bruno Fernandes for the start of the season, when even though he has Hull and Ipswich, if you captain Hull in game week 1, maybe you captain Burmo in game week 2, or Haaland scores twice against Bournemouth and then you just captain him again against Crystal Palace. Can you spread the money better elsewhere? These are big talking points now, and I can understand both of them. I haven't come round to the idea of no Haaland or no Bruno myself, but I absolutely think it is something that's worth discussing, and it might gain popularity over the next week. Now, I am very, very excited to be able to sit here and say that this video is being sponsored by an app that one of my friends has built. Yeah, that is right. You might have seen that FPL Raptor Ross has announced that him and a couple of others have been building a fantastically fun football app that I've had the luxury and the ability to be testing over the last month. And I can really tell you, it is really fun to play and you need to be on it. It is called Picks, completely free to play. Think of New York Times games for words, but now available for football. You can play it with friends. You can test your ability. Every single game, the place to start is with the puzzle pick. So play today's puzzle. The question is players who finished as their club's top fantasy Premier League point scorer last season. So you put in Erling Haaland. Did Harry Wilson or Dominic Calvert-Lewin? I think Calvert-Lewin, yes, he did. Correct. We've got Jared Bowen, Igor Thiago, and I'll leave it there not to spoil it for you, but that is one thing you can do in there. There are lots of other games to come. You can also predict the title race, lots of predictions over the course of the season. Again, it's about making football fun and social, and I'm predicting the Premier League. Of course, I've got Chelsea up at the top, completely free to play. You can check it out with the link in the description below. Make sure you're downloading it, completely free, a lot of fun, and there are a lot more games to be launched and activated ahead of the new season. So the place that we're going to start is by looking at a draft that doesn't have Erling Haaland in it. Now, we have the Community Shield for Manchester City against Arsenal over the weekend, which will give us a lot of information. Before that, Haaland will only have a few days of training. So if he starts that game, even if he only plays 45 or 60, that's a pretty big confidence boost going into game week 1 that he might be fine to start. Even if he only comes off the bench, plays half an hour, but you look at him and you think, yeah, he still looks good, he looks ready to go, then that also might boost our confidence. But if he plays half an hour or less, maybe he doesn't feature at all, or maybe he just doesn't look that great, it will start to add a bit of doubt about whether he's definitely going to be available to start at home to Bournemouth in game week 1. And that has a knock-on impact around the rest of our squads, early transfers, wildcard, free hit, and the potential bench boost. I think it's worth saying if you're going without Haaland or you're going without Bruno for the start of the season, you almost certainly should be playing the bench boost in either game week 1 or game week 2. It gives you a fantastic ability to spread the money around the rest of your squad, build up a pretty nice bench to bench boost in either the first week or the second week. For me, the only reason not to bench boost in game weeks 1 or game week 2 is if you are going for a Haaland and Bruno draft. That means you don't have enough money to really have a good bench for the start of the season. So if you don't have either or one of them, then I really do think you should be bench boosting early. That feels like a categorical bit of advice if you're gambling against either Haaland or Bruno. But let's look at the draft for now. So David Raya is in goal, and I've doubled up with Ben White. Now, Ben White, Mosquera, Calafiori, we won't discuss that loads in this video. We'll discuss it as we get closer to game week 1. Again, the Community Shield is interesting for Haaland and Manchester City, but also which Arsenal defenders are going to start. But if you wanted Gabriel, you could easily downgrade Semenyo and Burmo, Szoboszlai, or Florian Wirtz to someone like a Pascal Gross and upgrade Ben White all the way to Gabriel if you wanted to. We've gone with Harry Maguire, we've gone with Vardiol, Bruno Semenyo, and Burmo, Szoboszlai, Wirtz. So no need for any risky cheap midfielder. You just buy probably the 5 best midfielders in the entire game for the start of the season. João Pedro, Thiago up front, Calvert-Lewin on the bench, Verbruggen, O'Shea, and Maremovic all well set up for the early bench boost, probably in game week 1. It's a nice team. If you don't want Haaland, you don't want to captain him game week 1, you want to captain Bruno, you don't know if Haaland's going to start, I like what this draft is capable of doing. But in terms of chip strategy, so I would bench boost early if you're going for a draft that looks like this. And then you have a few options. You could leave the money in the bank. So don't go for a draft that looks like this. Just leave money in the bank ready to buy Haaland back. You can get to game week 3 when he's got Coventry at home. And then you have a few choices. Option 1, use transfers to buy Haaland. And that would probably be Bruno Fernandes and Thiago out to Haaland and a really cheap midfielder. If you go to a 4.5 mid and Haaland, you can afford that, I believe, with this draft. You can play your free hit to buy him at home to Coventry. Then you don't have to worry about him. He's got Man United in game week 4. And then you revisit it in game week 5 or 6 when you might play your wild card. Or you play your wild card in game week 3 to go for Haaland at home to Coventry, restructure your squad once again, take advantage of the first couple of weeks. But if we do get closer to game week 1 and Maresca comes out and says Haaland's not ready or he's not certain if he's going to start, drafts like this to bench boost early and to play the wildcard and the free hit early to then buy Haaland back for Coventry and after that are definitely going to become more popular than they are now. And then the other option is all around no Bruno Fernandes. And actually, this is a slightly better long-term play. Whereas if you don't go with Haaland, when that Coventry United Sunderland run from game week 3, 4 and 5 arrives, you're going to want Erling Haaland back. But if you're not going with Bruno for Ipswich and Hull in the first couple of games, you're backing no Bruno. And that's just the way you're going. And you don't need to commit an early wildcard or an early free hit or an early couple of transfers to buy him back because he's ready for the start of the season. And if you're not going Bruno, it's purely based off the fact that you don't think he's going to be good value. And if you're not buying him for Hull and Ipswich, you're not suddenly going to get to game week 3 and onwards when the fixtures are more difficult and suddenly going to want to find a way to buy him. Well, if he starts really well, then maybe you change your mind. But again, I would be looking to bench boost early. For the sake of this video, we've kept a lot of the players similar. Now, you might not want Vardiol as your 5.5. You might not want Ben White. You might not want Maremovic. But just to keep the drafts as simple and the same as possible, this is the draft that I've built. So we've gone with Lamans in goal. We had to free up a bit of money from David Raya. Vardiol, Maguire, Ben White, O'Shea, Maremovic, the same options, and Verbruggen, bench boost game week 1. Bruno has gone down to Pascal Gross, Semenyo, and Burmo, Szoboszlai, Wirtz, João Pedro, Haaland, Calvert-Lewin. No Bruno Fernandes in there. And this is a draft and a strategy that I'm considering. I would say I'm not considering it strongly. If Haaland and Bruno are both available for game week 1, Haaland is almost certainly in my draft. Bruno is still very likely to be in my draft, but he's only maybe 75% compared to Haaland at 95, 100%. Just because Bruno has had a huge price increase. I don't expect him to play as many minutes as he did last year with the Champions League, and he's getting slightly older. We also don't expect him to maybe pick up as many as assists as he did last year, particularly with there being no Casemiro, who he assisted 6 times in the league last year alone. And with him having the price increase, but someone like Semenyo and Burmo, Szoboszlai, Wirtz now being, last year they were $1 million cheaper than Bruno. So it was pretty straightforward that you bought Bruno. Well, now they're $4 million cheaper than him. So you can really build a strong draft without him. I don't think I'm brave enough to do it for the start of the season. But when you look at a draft like this, you can bench boost early. You're having great depth in your squad. You've still got Haaland for captaincy 1, 2, and 3. Or you captain Brian and Burma, who's likely to play up front in game week 2 when most people will be captaining Bruno. And it looks pretty good. So although I don't plan on doing it, it is a train of thought that I am exploring. If Haaland's not going to be ready, what that does for my chip strategy, I would probably just use a couple of transfers in game week 3 or maybe force the wild card if things were doing really badly. But if you go no Bruno and you just commit to it, the squad looks really good. You're not forced to play any early chips apart from probably the bench boost because the money just allows you to do it. So over the weekend, when Burmo, Szoboszlai, Wirtz, Semenyo all score and Haaland doesn't start, I think both of these drafts will start to gain a little bit of traction and a little bit of a conversation. So I just wanted to talk about it as I'm seeing the comments of people considering it and wondering about it, particularly with the value for Bruno and Haaland's fitness. So we're going to leave it there. I still think it's unlikely I do this for the start of the season, but I just thought it was worth discussing. An interesting topic given that every draft I've actually made myself has had both of them in, and maybe I should explore dropping one if the scenario and the circumstances arrive before game week 1, that might be the way to go. But let's wrap it up there. Let me know what you think. Are you considering going against Haaland? Are you considering going against Bruno? Do you think these drafts are completely crazy not to have both of them in? Let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching. Drop a like if you've enjoyed, subscribe if you are new, and I'll be back again very soon.